What really happened between Taehyung and Jungkook, that one Instagram story could make ARMY suddenly fall silent. It all started with this seemingly simple moment. Taehyung suddenly updated his Instagram story with an unusual emotional message. No promotion, no glamorous photos, just words that feel too deep. It was as if there was something he was holding back, something he wanted to convey, without actually saying it directly. And the ARMY instantly caught the vibe. Within minutes, the story was the subject of conversation. Are you wondering if Taehyung is missing something? Is it about the hard times they go through during training? Or maybe about someone who's always on his mind ahead of a big tour? But what makes this situation turn out to be even more surprising is one thing that no one expected at all. Jungkook responded. And the response is not just a like or short comment that idols usually do. Jungkook responded in a very unexpected way, a way that felt so personal, so emotional, as if he wanted to make sure Taehyung knew he wasn't alone. Many soldiers immediately froze when they saw the response, because Jungkook's reply was not just an ordinary reaction, but like a meaningful return message. Netizens began to speculate. Are they talking about something bigger than just a tour schedule? Is this a sign that their closeness is strengthening again after all the hustle and bustle? Or is it something they're secretly preparing? Even more heartwarming, some ARMY said that this interaction felt like two friends who reinforce each other without the need for many words. Taehyung wrote with emotion. Jungkook replied with sincerity. And suddenly, one simple story turned into a moment that touched the fandom. Because behind the grand stage and the spotlight of the world, they remain human beings who have feelings, longings, and bonds that cannot be described in words. And maybe that's why the ARMY is so shocked. Not because of the drama, but because this little moment feels so real. And what made it all the more jarring was, after Jungkook's response came out, many of the ARMY felt there was something changing in the atmosphere. As if this is not just an ordinary interaction between members. There are emotions that are too strong to ignore. Some fans even noticed that Taehyung's message this time felt different from previous updates. No jokes, no casual vibe as usual. The story is like a piece of heart that opens for a moment, then closes again before people really have time to ask. And Jungkook? The answer is like the answer to a question that was never asked. That's what gives the ARMY the creeps. Because Jungkook seemed to understand Taehyung's intentions without needing an explanation. It was as if they were speaking in a language that only the two of them understood. On social media, fandom immediately crowded. It's too emotional. They must be going through something. Why does it feel like farewell and hope all at once? Such comments flooded the timeline. And then came an even more surprising theory. Some ARMY believe that Taehyung's message may be related to the big tour that is getting closer. The pressure, the training, the expectations of the world. All of that must have been heavy. And maybe, in the midst of all that preparation, Taehyung just wants to remind himself and Jungkook that they need to stay strong. However, what makes this moment feel like an emotional shock is the fact that Jungkook rarely responds in this intense way. Usually it is more silent, more mysterious. But this time he was present, and his presence felt like an invisible hug. The ARMY began to wonder, is this a sign that their relationship is entering a new phase? Not in the romantic sense of wild rumors, but in the sense of emotional maturity. Two people growing up together, facing an ever larger world, and taking care of each other in their own way. Because sometimes, the most touching are not the long words, but one small response. And precisely because everything happens in silence, this moment feels much stronger. ARMY knows Taehyung is not the type to carelessly write something for no reason. Every word he shares, especially in the form of an emotional message, almost always has a layer of meaning. And that's why this story feels like a code, a subtle signal that may only be understood by certain people. And Jungkook is that guy. Jungkook's reply made many people remember the days when they were trainees. When the world didn't know BTS as big as it is now, and the only thing they had was each other. Now, years later, amid the hectic schedules and pressures of a global tour, this little interaction is like a reminder that that bond is never lost. Maybe it's just getting deeper. Some ARMY even said that Jungkook's response felt like a promise without words, like saying, "I'm here. I understand. We go through this together." And that's what makes a lot of people emotional, because fandom doesn't just see perfect idols on stage. They saw two people standing next to each other. However, there are other details that make everything even more curious. After the story was widely discussed, Taehyung did not add any explanation. There is no clarification, no further updates, just quiet. And it was precisely the silence that made the ARMY even more agitated. Because sometimes, what is not said is much louder than what is said. Did Taehyung deliberately let the ARMY wonder? Or maybe the message isn't entirely public. Maybe it's just for one person. And if it is so, then Jungkook's response was the perfect answer. No exaggeration, not dramatic, but enough to let the world know that he was paying attention. Now, ahead of a big tour touted to be one of BTS' most monumental moments, many ARMY feel this interaction is no coincidence. It's like a small sign before a big storm, a reminder that behind grandiose preparations, there are emotions that cannot be hidden. And maybe there is an unfinished story. Because if only one story could make ARMY shock like this,